Anyway, so normally I do this thing I call 12 questions for experts.
Mhm.
It's 12 questions. I am going to like maybe get into some of them at some point. I do want to try something new here though. Um, they're cybersecurity related questions, but they're not strictly about cybersecurity for business the way which is a lot of the conversations that I usually have with people. But I've been really interested about what people think about topics like privacy and online safety and just different topics that are you probably wouldn't think about as cybersecurity, but they're very much related. So
Yeah,
if it's cool with you, that's what I'd like to get into today, Steve.
let's do it.
All right, man.
Full disclosure, like I haven't done cybersecurity in a few years, guys. So
Yep.
if I'm telling you to check your Windows 95 hosts file, I'm sorry. It's been a minute.
But by the way, what is your cybersecurity background? Like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, uh, my
Steve.
background, I started in IT in 2002. And honestly, I started, as a kid, right? 5 years old. We got our first computer. I don't know, 10 or 11. I wanted to see how easy it was to take it apart. The thing is, I've never been very mechanically inclined, so I didn't know how to put it back together. Now, fast forward 6 hours. My mom comes home. And did I mention I didn't ask her if I could take our computer apart?
You did not.
So she was not happy. But my mom is mechanically inclined. My mom has worked in manufacturing all her life. I mean, now she's got a cushy office job, but she started on the floor working on CNC machines. So she's got like a big toolbox, and it's very OCD organized. And so she was able to figure out how to put this computer back together.
Hmm.
And I don't think she had any leftover screws, maybe one, but she did it and it worked. And I wasn't allowed to use it for weeks. Fast forward to high school, I went to a vocational school for junior senior year. I took the Cisco, what is it, the CCNA training
Hmm.
academy for 2 years. Failed that test miserably just because I wasn't paying attention in class. I got my Novell CNA for NetWare 5. That one's super useful. I got my CompTIA A plus.
Hmm.
Um, I got a couple little ones that were irrelevant, but the school let me take them for free, so why not? Um, I started working at the school, got to run hundreds of new network cables because we basically like completely rearranged the upstairs
Hmm.
and built rooms. So like my classroom wasn't a room, it was like a section of a giant room. And we had like cubicle walls, but like just making a room out of cubicle walls. It was bizarre. And then the year after I graduated, they built walls and like made rooms out of that area. I think they were like, okay, I guess computers are going to be a thing now. So I worked there, got to play with Norton Ghost a lot. I was the only one certified as a Novell network administrator, and they wouldn't even let me reset a kid's password,
Okay.
which I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't let an 18-year-old just out of high school have admin permissions on a server either. So hindsight is 2020, right? So in retrospect, I fully support their decision at the time. Um, but at the time, I was offended. Uh, After that, I actually went to a place called CompSource. It's like CDW, but really like tiny, and I don't know. I think the right way to say it is it's a boutique online uh, uh, computer parts store.
Hmm.
Um, so I worked there for a few years. I went and worked at an IT consulting company for a few years, got married, started my own MSP in 2009,
Hmm.
did that for over a decade. While doing my MSP back in 2017, I started doing content creation for MSPs, which is why you may recognize me, whether you remember my name or not. You may look and be like, this guy who can't move his neck, I remember seeing him before. That's probably why. I've got over 500 videos on my YouTube channel. I've done hundreds of webinars and podcast episodes and everything else. And then back in 2024, I joined the dark side. I no longer have an MSP. I shut that down. I exited, and I now work for a company called Alternative Payments. I'm in marketing. My focus is webinars. So I
Hmm.
took my content creation experience for the last, 7, 8, 9 years, whatever, and was able to turn it into a job. And I
Okay.
really love what I do. So
Okay, cool. Why did you start with Rocket MSP in the first place, by the way?
so it was basically anything to get out of doing sales. I'll be
Hmm.
honest. I hated doing sales to the point where I was the detriment to my own company's success. Don't get me wrong. I had clients, I had word of mouth, all inbound stuff I did really well. It was the outbound stuff that I just wouldn't do, which is hilarious because now I have to do outbound like all day, every day, because I have to like sell these webinars to people. They're free. Like I'm not selling anything, but I still
Hmm.
have to pitch something, right? And you have to be like a salesperson to convince somebody to do something,
Hmm.
whether it's free or not. So
Right.
um little did I know. But yeah, honestly, I would say that one of the things I did before I started doing the content creation was I just kept like switching tools. I don't know what
Hmm.
I thought. Like,
Hmm.
oh, if I switch from ConnectWise PSA to Autotask PSA, it'll just magically work better and my clients will love it and I'll get more clients. I'll get more clients because of my PSA. Like that was my logic. It wasn't great. Um but you tell yourself things when you don't want to do something and then you don't argue with yourself even if the logic is not sound.
Hmm.
So if you're doing those kind of things, listener, I think you need to go get a mentor. That's what I ended up doing. I
Okay.
finally got some mentors and
Okay.
they really helped.
Hmm.
um Honestly, they helped me realize I didn't really love doing IT. Like I
Hmm.
was good at it. I'm really like technically savvy.
Hmm.
Um but I don't know. I fell out of love with IT. Now I'm
Right.
still in love with gadgets
Hmm.
and like playing with cool tech. But
Hmm.
I think that's as far as my love goes. And so you show me a cool new AI thing to play with or the new Apple whatever,
Hmm.
I'm all in, man. Like I will play it. Like I want the new M5 Vision Pro so
Hmm.
hard. I can't use the original Vision Pro because of my neck. Like, I joke about it, but it's a thing. Like my neck literally doesn't move. And I had to like force my head to be able to see the bottom of the keyboard with the Vision Pro. Now,
Hmm.
I'd like to think they've made some accessibility modifications since then, but I don't care. I just want it. It's
Right.
like gadgets are like Pokemon, man. I got to catch them all. Um, I won't even use them half. Like I've got AirPods. I've got these. They just sit on my desk. I
Hmm.
don't I don't need them. I've got AirPods Pro 2 in my bedroom, and I keep thinking I'm going to buy the AirPods Pro 3. Why? There's nothing wrong with the 2s. They're still under Apple Care warranty. So when I started doing Rocket MSP, um I was really involved in some of like the Facebook IT communities,
Hmm.
and I realized there were a lot of like sole proprietors, solopreneurs, if you will,
Hmm.
who were bored and were lonely. I was bored and lonely, working at home for yourself all day, every day. and you only get to talk to a client like every now and then. And I'll be
Right.
honest, like I had 150 end users I was supporting
Mhm.
at one point, and that was a solid client list for me. I was very happy with what I was making.
Mhm.
And I had things like automated and doing so well.
Mhm.
Like I had to call them. They didn't call me for stuff. Like it just
Right.
worked. And they
Right.
happily paid. Like nobody complained. Like everything just worked. So like I would go 3, 4, 5, I'd go an entire week without hearing from anybody.
Right.
And it would get boring, man.
Yeah.
You know, my
I can.
wife's at work, and at the time we didn't have any kids. So it's just like me and a dog.
Mm.
So like um so yeah, then I was like, hey, you know, if any of you guys are bored, let's hop in a Zoom room. Let's just hang out. Let's shoot the breeze.
Right.
And we did that for a while. I think that was like 2015. I was like, you know, let's just hang out. So it would be like me and the same group ish of like 5 to 10 other people, depending on the day, right?
Yeah.
And some people would stay in all day long,
Mhm.
and some people would just pop in and out,
Mhm.
and we would just hang out. And it was a lot of fun. I actually was more productive then because now I'm like helping them with
Mhm.
their stuff because they're like, hey, you know, what's the right way to make this script? And then we'd all just start like brainstorming together on it.
Mhm.
So now we're all collectively working on each other's businesses. It's almost like a peer group, but one that
Mm.
just never ends. It's like from open to close of business every day, which
Right.
was really cool. And then we
That's
started
cool.
doing like live streams,
Okay.
and then it just kept progressing into now I'm inviting vendors and we're having conversations, and I'm kind of grilling these vendors. I'm asking them tough questions. And I didn't think there was anything wrong with that, but apparently everyone was eating that stuff up.
Mhm.
Like I didn't think what I was doing was anything special,
Right.
but that's what I really meant to say. Not anything wrong with it, but I didn't think I was doing anything special, but I don't know, I guess I'm good at interviewing people. So, yeah.
That's crazy, man. So the basically, like, you went from, you know, not having people to talk to because that's just what your job was, to talking to people as a job pretty much. Like, that's that's a pretty crazy shift. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's really, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Um, you wanna, see if we can answer some of these questions?
Go for it, man. Shoot.
Cool. Okay.
Worst case, I give you the completely wrong answer, and it's probably because I'm making it up as I go.
You know what the thing
Best
is?
case, I actually know the answer.
The thing is, I've actually, the reason why I started with the 12 questions was because I realized way before I actually started, like, put together the format of the 12 questions, is that these are topics that people that have extensive experience in this industry just see things totally differently. Like, that's so there are no right answers. Even though
Mhm.
I may, my opinion may be more inclined into some of the options that I have here rather than some other ones. It's I've learned that, talking to a lot of people. I mean, there are some questions where it kind of seems like, okay, well, there's actually some more consensus than not, but then a lot of them are just like, man, like, you wouldn't believe how much like, and what that tells me, and that's, like, actually what I was so curious about and why I started with these questions. Initially, it was just a sort of a side thing that I talked to people about, and then I thought, you know what, let's make this into a thing. And
Yeah.
um, what kind of that tells me is that it's kind of like, what are we doing as an industry? Like, why is it that we are unable to um, see eye to eye on some of these fundamental things? Right. So I'll give you the first question that I have here.
Yes.
We're not going to go through all of them actually, but the first question, I'm really wondering what your opinion on this is. Which one do you think is most important? People, process, or technology?
Ooh. Um, Well, I'm gonna work this through out loud, and then
Yeah.
maybe hopefully I'll actually come up with an answer. So people are important because people create technology, people create process. However, process is important because once you've actually defined, like, okay, this is the thing that we need to do, it's important to have consistency. It's important that you follow process. Technology, it's important, and depending on I guess the answer I'm thinking of right now is it depends. You
Mhm.
know, what are we doing? You know, are we hiring somebody? What are we hiring them for? You know,
Mhm.
so if we're hiring an L1 help desk guy out of college, we probably are more worried about that person being like a good people person and understanding, can they follow process,
Mhm.
right? So the process is going to be really important. So when they're doing their job, it's important that they follow the process.
Mhm.
And it's important that people higher up in the company build and refine those processes.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's important that each individual at a company has all of the necessary technology to do their job.
Mhm.
But I don't know that any one of those things is more important than another. I feel like they're all kind of intrinsically connected.
Mhm. Okay, cool. Yeah. What was it about, so you shared the story about the PSA tool and that how you used to kind of think that if you change the tool, it would somehow magically make things better.
Yeah.
What was it that you came to, that you learned that I think, changed your mind and then had you thinking, okay, that's actually not the way to go, and this is kind of where you are from what I understand.
Yeah. So
Does
I
that,
was at,
sorry, does that mean that technology, that it didn't matter, which type of technology you would use, or what was it that you actually like learned?
yeah. So it's a really good observation. So what somebody said to me at, I don't know, it might have been an ASCII event or an Autotask event. I went to an in-person conference, okay?
Mhm.
And I'm at one of these like little boardroom meetings where there's 20 of us around a table, and we just talked about what we've got going on.
Mhm.
And I was complaining about how none of these PSAs were doing exactly what I expected them to do. And somebody said something that stuck with me, and I couldn't tell you who he was, but he said, all of these tools suck. You just got to find the one that sucks the least for you. You're never going to find the perfect product. Even if you develop your own platform, you're still going to be like, oh, well, man, I just wish it did this. And then you're going to have to screw with it and figure out how to make it do that. So these tools are never done.
Mhm.
So whether you get Autotask or ConnectWise PSA or Synchro, it doesn't matter, because from day one, this is like a living, breathing tool that will never be done, because you're always going to need to continuously improve the way this thing functions, whether that means improving dashboards or changing and or setting up service level agreements because you never did, or changing some things on how like the ticket queues work. Maybe you split things up into different queues for different reason. Like, so there are so many different ways to configure these things, and that is what is really cool about technology. You know, if you look at something like, I help my son at night with his homework. We're doing his algebra, and algebra, I can see like x plus 3 equals 7. Like, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, x equals 4. But if you say, hey, Steve, I need you to get me a CSV file of all the records in this thing, like I could export it to a CSV, I could open up Excel and I could type it manually. Like there's so many different
Mhm.
ways to get to a solution. And then it becomes even more abstract when you say, we're going to start following a security framework, whether that's NIST CSF or CIS controls or something maybe a little more robust for DoD or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So now it's okay, so I need to have certain controls in place. And the controls might actually need configured differently based on the cybersecurity framework you're using because each framework has a different level of security for different reasons, right? So the cool thing with technology that I'm getting to is it's not that there's a right answer and a wrong answer or a right way or a wrong way. It's almost like an art where you're going to develop your own way to do things.
Right.
And it may be a less efficient way, it may be a more efficient way. But ultimately, if you're using something like a cybersecurity framework, which is a process, you're going to have like check boxes. Does my thing do this? Yes. Check the box. This is complete. So I'm following the process. But just because I'm not doing NIST, if I'm doing CIS, that doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means I'm doing it differently.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
Mac user.
Okay, that says it all. I'm also, by the way. Anyway, yeah. Is there a when choosing technology, is there a method that you would use that you would recommend? This is kind of a business question, but to like SMB owners or people that are in charge of choosing new tech and new tools. What's a good way to go about that? Do you think? Is there like a one standard procedure that you'd use?
So I just want to make sure I heard the question correctly. When a tech is deciding what tool they want to use,
Yeah.
how
So
do
like
they?
let's say when you were an MSP, right? And you would say, okay,
Yeah.
well, I need this new PSA tool. What's a
Mhm.
way to go about that process?
Oh, so okay. Um, it depends on the tool. All right. So if it's a PSA, like this is the central hub to your MSP. So you you should always do like a proof of concept with every tool that you're considering, okay? And I have my own opinions on how that should look. You know, I need 60 days or 90 days to develop a proof of concept. So that means the vendor needs to give me X number of days as a trial or something.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I would
So,
say that the best way to do it is make a list of all the things you need it to do. Okay. So if this is a cybersecurity tool, like, are you looking for one of those all-in-one, all-inclusive type of cybersecurity tools? Are you looking for something that's more like an inch wide and a mile deep? So make a list of all the things you need. Okay. And then make a list of all the tools you're aware of that can do some or all of these needs. And then just start figuring out which boxes do these tools check.
yeah.
Um, and then in that list of needs, you should have something along the lines of how does this tool make me feel? Like,
Hmm.
I don't know, I might just be weird, okay? I might just be like neurodivergent on the spectrum. I don't know. This isn't a joke. I might actually be, but I don't know. So when I open a tool, it gives me a feeling,
Hmm.
like if I open up HubSpot, I actually get like warm and happy because they've built their tool really well.
Hmm.
But if I'm paying for HubSpot Starter and I open the menu and I click on something, and then it takes me to a thing that says, oh, yeah, this isn't available in starter. You have to upgrade to professional. Now I feel aggravated, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
like, what limitations are there in this tool that you're looking at? You know, if it's something like HubSpot, can you afford, do you need all of the feature set, or can you get away with the starter version? So I think there's a lot that goes into software selection. And it also depends, is it for you? Is it for like just you? Is it for a department? Is it for the whole company? Is it
Mm-hmm.
for a client? So a lot goes into when you have more than one person using a tool as well.
Mm-hmm. How much do you involve other people in this decision?
I have found that, yeah, I don't I don't know that there's like a right answer to this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I have found that I never want to make a decision on my own.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get at least one other person involved,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm able to get a different perspective. So if I'm saying, okay, I want to get a new marketing platform for my MSP. Do I go with Glasshive? Do I go with MailChimp, HubSpot, ActiveCampaign? Um, do I use Go High Level? Do I use a version of Go High Level that's basically rebranded, like something through the Tech Tribe where it's included with my membership? So there's a lot of options, right? And then you have to kind of like weigh the pros and cons. Well, sometimes I want to just get other people's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what did you do for your MSP? Why? What what frustrations have you found, you know, since making this decision? Do you wish you made a different decision?
Mm-hmm.
Do you wish you had looked into something else instead? Like, so I want to get all of that from people. I'm really good at asking questions. Um, Next, I want to get my people like bought in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So whether that means I need to get them to, you know, sign into a trial, or I just need to get them to log into a presentation or whatever. I need to get my people bought into whatever this tool is. So that way we're all aligned. Because if I just say, okay, we're getting a new tool, it is it's called Outlook, and we're going to do all of our mass market emailings from Outlook. You're just going to put everyone in the BCC field. It's really important you do that, because if you put them in the to field, they're all going to see each other's names. So make sure you, so like, you know, then I'm going to have people going, what is wrong with this guy? Right. So I want to make sure we're all on the same page, because they're obviously thinking something that I didn't think about. Maybe there's a reason you don't use Outlook and do a BCC on emails to hundreds or thousands of people. There is. And if I'm a non-technical CEO saying, "Oh, we're just going to do this because it's cheaper," now my employees who actually know what they're doing, they have opinions, they have thoughts, they have recommendations, and that's why I just want to get everyone on board.
I tell you, right? Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I do want to ask you about uh, some questions that are, let's say, more related to cybersecurity specifically. We'll work our way through to some of the more cyber-oriented questions. The first question that I have is about privacy. Um, it's kind of a weird one. I'm wondering what you think people should and should not share online, in your opinion. How far should people go in sharing um, information about their personal lives? Is there a line? Is it all subjective, or what is your opinion on this? How, if you could give advice to a random person on the street, what is it that you tell them about this?
Man, that's a tough one, because I'll be honest, I have flip-flopped. Um, okay, look, you know, people evolve, right? People can change their minds. So if you're friends with me on Facebook and you go like 5 to 8 years ago, you're going to see like every day I'm going live, sometimes more than once, and I'm just shooting the breeze. Now, I'll say that it was really helpful for business, for like Rocket MSP, for staying top of mind for people. But it was also at the expense of some of my privacy. Now, um, nothing like weird happened. Like nobody was showing up at my house.
Hmm.
But I will say this, when you are a content creator and the more you open up with your audience and you talk about personal things,
Right.
the more connected they'll feel to you,
Hmm.
which is cool because now they want to like, they're more in, right? Now
Right.
now if they're connected, they have like feelings or whatever, right? And now they like care and they want to keep watching all of your content. And
Hmm.
that's how some of the best content creators work is, they divulge maybe a little too much. And I found that I would go to these conferences and people would be like, "Hey, Steve, what's going on, man? Oh, how's your kids? How's this?" We're like, "Bro, I don't know who you are, but I don't, but I have, I also have a really bad memory, so I don't know if I know who they are or not. We could have met. I have no idea."
Right.
So, so now I'm like, I'm having to do that. Like, okay, here's an analogy. Our pastor at my church, our church is blown up. It used to be like 120 people.
Okay.
Now it's like 1,000 people.
Okay.
He doesn't know everyone,
Right.
but they all know him because he's up
Yep.
on stage every week preaching, right?
Yep.
So people come up and like, "Oh, how's your wife? How are your kids? Oh, hey, your son did this in class today because they might have been his teacher for youth group or whatever, right?" So like, um, it's weird when you have people that you're like, I'm not entirely sure who this person is, who come up and start talking to you about things that you don't feel like they should be knowing about. Um, so when I use social media today, I basically 95% use it for business.
Hmm.
In fact, Facebook, I would say on Facebook, I rarely post.
Okay.
If I do, it's usually in my neighborhood group, like our neighborhood as a private group. Every neighborhood does. You should go find yours. It may be interesting. It may be spicy. You never know. And then I've got a couple groups for like the overall like the cities that I'm part of. So there's those, and then I've got a couple of like, I don't know, groups for family, so that's a thing. And then so I use Facebook Messenger a lot just because we've got people in the family who are Android users and it's just easier that way. But I don't post on Facebook anymore
Hmm.
because I don't want people knowing my business. And because now I know, AI is ingesting everything and I have no idea how these companies are using our data.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I'm a little more worried about that. However, that doesn't mean I'm not going to just like go sign up for stuff.
Right.
I don't always think about privacy implications when I sign up for a tool.
Hmm.
Now, I am thinking about like, okay, so if I sign up for this AI thing, do I want to connect it to the corporate Google Drive? Like I am smart enough to know that, but like, if I go sign up for a thing, now it's one more company with my name and email address.
Right. Do you see? So, I mean, as a content creator, Steve, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you are. Cool. As a content creator, you're constantly, you know, uh, putting out, let's say, you're putting your voice out there. You're putting your face out there all the time, right? you're putting out a lot of um, sensitive information about yourself just by having conversations like this one with me, right?
Yeah.
And I guess from what I'm understanding is for you that makes sense because that is a big part of your business life as well. It's a bit more complicated with you because you don't get that luxury of separating the two completely, right? Um, but also, from what I'm hearing, is for the stuff that's actually just about you. I don't know, like let's say pictures with your family,
Yeah.
stuff that you're doing on the weekends. Is that stuff that you would like put on your Facebook page or anywhere else, as a matter of fact? And if not, then why? And do you think that the answer to that can have some value for other people as to what they should and should not be sharing online?
You know, I don't see when it comes to like putting my pictures of my family up on Facebook, I don't really do it all that much, but it's not because I'm afraid of big bad meta,
Hmm.
meta, whatever.
Yeah.
It's because Facebook's algorithm is so screwed up that if I just try and scroll through my feed and see what my friends are up to,
Yeah.
here's what I see. Person I don't know, but I'm like friends with, like a business person, not somebody I'm actually interacting with all the time.
Right.
And then I see somebody I'm not following, but Facebook just thinks I need to see this stupid video. And then I see an ad for a vacuum cleaner. And then I see some other person I happen to be connected with for business that has no relevance to me. No offense, people, because they're, again, not one of my close friends. And then I see one of those stupid uh, shock videos where it's like, oh yeah, look at this person not be able to figure out how to tie this knot. And you're like, of course, because they're doing it wrong. Like, so it's all just crap because they just want to engage you. And it's no longer what it used to be,
Hmm.
just a feed of what my friends are doing.
Hmm.
So if I can't see them, then that tells me they can't see
Oh, right.
me. Why should I bother?
So it's more about it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Hmm.
It's really not. And like Facebook to me, like back in the day, like had you asked me 10 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, Facebook is kind of like where I keep all my things.
Yeah.
But, I've got iCloud. I can keep all my things there.
Yeah. Well, what?
And it's not that I'm trusting one cloud over another. It's just I think Facebook kind of sucks now.
Right. Right. So being a content creator, um, is this a challenge for you for your, for putting stuff out there, putting valuable content out there? Is this a
No,
challenge? The fact that there is all this
no.
shit that no?
No.
And how come?
So what I found is that so Facebook, like the way I care to use Facebook is like 90% personal. I am connected with business people on Facebook, but it's purely strategic,
Mhm.
not because I'm trying to be in their face about stuff.
Mhm.
LinkedIn is where I would say I do all of my actual content. Like
Mhm.
I'm posting on LinkedIn almost every day. Now, sometimes it's not actually a post.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just me going through and commenting on people's stuff. And honestly, I may just troll people's stuff. And it's not because I'm trying to be a jerk, but it's because I like that person. And as crazy as this sounds, I might not have anything of value to say, but I know if I comment on their stuff, it will give LinkedIn the signal that, oh, this is valuable and somebody wanted to comment on it.
Mhm.
So now we're going to show this content to a little more people,
Mhm.
right? So me trolling on LinkedIn, honest to God, it's because I like the person and I want their post to, go viral or whatever, right? So I might do that. Um, I don't really post a whole lot of pictures though, because they're all of me in the same pose because my because my neck doesn't move. So yeah, I just and I'm always sitting in the same chair in the same room. So like, why would I why would I post more pictures?
Mm. Um, so NIST released this new version on uh, uh, digital identity security, and this it's a standard that has to do with how to verify identity online in different types of situations, right? Like, how do you verify it based on identity information? How do you verify it if you need to authenticate users when they're logging into stuff, right? How do you share identities between systems and that sort of thing? One
Mm,
interesting thing is that they're sort of now moving in the direction of looking more into how biometric data is used. And one of the recommendations that they have, and that they're basically trying to push for, at least where that standard is relevant, which is mostly in the federal space, for using biometric data locally only, not using it to authenticate users remotely, right? So those companies like I don't know if you've heard of Jumio and those guys, where you do remote biometric authentication of users and remote identity proofing. That's kind of the way they're saying, okay, this is maybe not the right way of doing stuff. Now, I think the motivation for all of this is because with a lot of us pushing more of this information about us and who we are as biological individuals, um, this data is more public, and it's easier to misuse, also thanks to AI these days, than it was before.
yeah.
Um, are you worried at all about sort of how these two cultures, let's say, or the culture of how we communicate online, how that clashes with how we basically do security, right? Because a lot of security is more about identity centric security, right? Like, we're realizing more and more that really there's people behind these machines, and there's always a person at some point somewhere. Because if there wasn't, none of it would really make any sense, right?
Right.
Are you worried at all about that? And what do you think, if you have an opinion on this, what do you think is the future of this?
So I had a thought, and it's about AI. Okay. And I'm going to come back to that, I hope. But that thought actually led me down the rabbit trail. I have ADD, if you haven't figured that out. Uh, it led me down the rabbit trail of, now I understand how somebody can ask a question and it feels like a politician is just dancing around the answer. It's because you brought up identity protection, and see where my mind went is, okay, so there's Face ID for Apple, there's the thumbprint on Androids, there's Touch ID or whatever it's called on my Apple keyboards, and there's biometric stuff for Windows Hello. So I've never really put any thought into that,
Mm-hmm.
be honest. Uh, my hope is that all of that data stays local to the device and that it's not being uploaded to some nefarious cloud to build out this profile of Steve. That way they can use it to create 3D printed fingerprints, then frame me for a art heist at the Louvre. I have no idea. Okay. But you like that? I even included some current news for you. Uh, so I hope that like nothing bad is happening with that biometric data to make it easier to sign in. I also am really worried about how easy it is to get AI to create videos
Mhm,
and even audio that sounds like a person, video that looks like a person. Like I have seen some of the most scarily good looking AI. Like basically we'll call it a deep fake, right? Thankfully, never of me, right? Thankfully, only of like really famous people, like a president or an actor.
mhm,
Um, I have seen some really good ones, and you gotta pay close attention because every now and then they'll have like a sixth finger or whatever, right? And like that's the only way you can tell.
well, that's now
It's
though,
the
right?
only way you can tell. And it's terrifying because now I've got earlier I said I'm in these Facebook Messenger groups, right? With family. So now I've got my mother-in-law sending us videos that have the Sora logo on them and she thinks they're real.
Mhm.
I don't know how to I don't know how to like move forward with this because it's either um incredible frustration um or I just give up because I can explain it until I'm blue in the face, but some people just don't get it.
Mhm. What do you think is the most underrated cybersecurity threat that's out there these days?
Repeat the question, please.
What is the most underrated cybersecurity threat or online threat?
Mm, yourself. Honestly, it's really what I think it is because if if you if you get too lackadaisical, I think that's how you say that word. If you get too relaxed and you stop paying attention, you're going to click the wrong button. You're going to let someone in. And it's not going to go well. So that is my concern is always what am I going to screw up today? Um yeah.
Do you believe in this is a do you believe that people can be trained not to make mistakes?
I think they can be trained to follow a process, right? Because if it's a mistake, then that means it wasn't supposed to happen. If there was something specific that should have happened, it should have been properly documented. Now, obviously, there's all kinds of mistakes that can be made, right? Um, just
Like you just
just
said,
a couple nights, just a
it,
couple
yeah.
nights ago, for example, my mother was in town from Arkansas,
Mhm,
and my wife said, "Oh, we're gonna cook you something." Like my mom eats healthy and she can't eat certain things, and my wife cooks it, and she swears she followed the recipe, but the rice didn't get cooked.
mhm,
So clearly there was a mistake somewhere, right? But so even if you have a process, mistakes are still going to get made.
right.
So at that point, you need to determine, where am I comfortable being able to make mistakes, you know? That's yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to do one last thing today. It's it's this little game that I was thinking about. I'm gonna say a word or phrase, and I
Mhm.
want you to Say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Yep.
So let's try it out. Password managers.
1Password.
TikTok.
Ugh.
Hacker.
Hacker?
Hacker. Yeah.
That one I split into two different directions, unfortunately. It's either good guy or bad guy. Is it red team, blue team, or actual bad guy?
Yep. Blockchain.
I don't know enough about it, so probably just confusion.
Freedom.
Ha!
Metaverse.
Bullshit?
AI.
Future Overlord?
Dark web.
Interesting.
Privacy.
Illusion.
Pigs.
Jamie.
Money.
Alternative payments.
Success.
Money.
And failure.
No money.
All right, man. That's it. Well,
That's
thanks
it.
so much. Thanks so much, Steve. This was a blast. Even though we ended up talking way less about cybersecurity than I originally intended,
All good.
I actually really enjoyed the conversation, and thanks for sharing your thoughts on the few cybersecurity and privacy related questions that I did ask today. I do have one question that I always want to end with, and that is, if you could give one piece of advice to SMB owners about cybersecurity, what would that be?
So it depends. Am I talking to MSPs or any owner?
Just owners of SMBs, like owners of small and medium businesses, any type of business.
It's more important than you realize. And I don't care how much you're spending on it, it's probably not enough.
Okay, cool. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to